Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Hey, it's Christy.
And I'm Kelly.
You might remember us as the OG partners in crime from Dance Moms.
Well, this is Back to the Bar, the podcast where we drag out every insane, chaotic, and iconic moment from the show.
We're spilling the tea, calling out all the BS, and sharing stuff you definitely didn't see on TV.
New episodes drop every week, and yes, we're laughing through the drama.
For once. Follow, grab a drink, and join us as we go back to the bar.
Acast helps creators launch, grow, and monetize their podcasts everywhere. Acast.com.
Hello and welcome back to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm the therapist, Tess Brigham.
And I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And today we are covering the search for Instagram's worst con artist. This is a 2-part documentary that is on Netflix right now. So I'm just going to share a quick synopsis. Before launching a hit wellness app, blogger Belle Gibson told her Instagram followers she had been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. Initially given only 4 months to live, Gibson miraculously survived for years, due in large part to her healthy diet and lifestyle. As her popularity and net worth soared, she became an overnight success and a hero to many living with cancer. Except every part of Gibson's story was based on lies. The docuseries, The Search for Instagram's Worst Con Artist, investigates Gibson's many claims, as well as her rise and fall from the spotlight, which have inspired a different Netflix show by the name of Apple Cider Vinegar with Caitlin Dever, which I guess is a somewhat fictionalized version of this story. I
saw a preview for that.
Yeah.
Apple Cider Vinegar. And,
good.
And so they have the character, Belle Gibson, but then they have this other character whose name is Mila something. And she actually, I think, did have cancer and was doing the same kind of wellness, whatever. And they're like, wait a minute. And here comes this Belle Gibson who's faking it. And anyway, it's like a fictionalized entertainment version of it. Looked kind of good.
Yeah, it did look good.
Yeah.
And I like that Caitlin Dever. I was surprised. And then to hear the Australian accent, I'm like, she's so good. Like she's, cause she's, from the US here. But she's very versatile. I want to say she's so good.
What else has she been in?
She was in Booksmart, which was that Beanie Feldstein movie that was directed by not Elizabeth Shue, Olivia Wilde. That came out in like 2019. She was in, she's done a ton of stuff. She was in the OxyContin movie with Michael Keaton. She played this lesbian. That got hooked on drugs. She was great in that. She was in, she was in? She was in that they did it at a story similar to this. Really good, highly recommend. I have to look it up to see the name, but it was with Toni Collette and the woman from Nurse Jackie. I can't remember her name. So good.
Edie Falco?
No, not Edie Falco. Another character. Oh God, it'll come to me. Wheeler something. Merritt Weaver. They play these two cops looking for a serial rapist, and Caitlin Dever plays this woman who had been raped but the police didn't quite believe her. So she recanted her story and said she lied, but she didn't really lie. And these two women investigate the crime, and it all comes out that she had been telling the truth the whole time, but she had been ostracized. It's based on a true story of this young woman who came and said, I was raped, but these cops didn't believe her story. I mean, she was a young girl and she was like living on her own, didn't have family, didn't have any support. And then and then at the same time, they're showing the stories of these two women trying to find this guy. And then at the end, they figured out there was one more woman they hadn't found, and it was her. And, the cops had to come and apologize to her. And so I'm giving away the whole story, but it's at the end, the cops have to apologize. So they give her money back from she had to pay a fine. She had to go to court to say she lied and she had to pay a fine. So they gave her the fine back, but she sued for a bunch of money. Like you took so much away from me. It wasn't just this $500. Like people looked at me sideways. My whole life was, and so I was like, good for you.
And we don't know the name of the movie.
No, we don't.
Just told the whole plot.
I'm sorry. It'll come to me. It'll come to me. I'm sorry. I couldn't tell you the whole thing and look it up. Hold on.
we gotta tell
I
people what
can't
it
do
is
both things,
point.
People. I know people are screaming right now because that's what I do.
Yeah, they're like, I came on here to hear about
Okay. I'm going to tell you right now. Hold on.
Instagram's worst con artist.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
It came out in 2019. Excellent. Sorry to tell you, but pretty much it's based on a true story. So people probably knew that story already. Anywho,
excellent
let's get back
actress.
Yes, sorry.
Get back to the story.
sorry. Okay, but we're talking about Belle Gibson.
Yeah. Now I've never heard of this person before.
Neither had I.
Yeah, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Because her app was preloaded on the first Apple Watch. I mean, she must have been a huge deal. And I'm like, this is the first I've heard of her.
Well,
I'm so out of it.
I don't know. I think for me personally, I wish I was. I think I'd be a lot healthier. I have zero interest in I don't have a lot of interest in the alternative health space, to be honest. Like, I'm not someone who loves to go in and look at herbs and do various things.
Food looks terrible to me. I don't want cashew cheese.
Cashew cheese is actually pretty good.
Well, but I don't want beetroot soup, or I don't want any of Ayurvedic the pictures look, okay, but
they're stylized.
But then you read about what it is. No, thank you.
Well, this is the other thing is Steve and I over the years, we've done the Whole30 more than once, which is, but you have to, when you do the Whole30, you have to cook every single meal.
I know.
Every snack. And it is utterly exhausting.
Yeah.
And having to think about it all the time, having to plan it out. If you're someone who does this and you do it regularly, that's the thing. You have to have a tremendous amount of joy.
You have to like doing it.
You have to really like doing it. And here's the thing. I don't like doing it. I'm not that interested in looking at pictures of food. I don't want to watch people talking to me. I don't want someone lecturing me about the importance of beetroot and about how, and this is going to hurt the inflammation. That I'm not saying that I don't believe in it and that I don't think that there is some truth, because I do think that Western medicine, there are problems. I'm not going to say there aren't, but this isn't something I would follow or care about at all.
Mm-hmm.
And,
that's why we didn't know.
We didn't know who she was.
We are not in that space.
The other part of it too is, I think what I thought was interesting, if you really take a step back and look at the story, she kind of came around in 2013, but by 2015, the House of Cards had come down. Mm-hmm. So I think people always talk about these overnight sensations and all of this. Like, in some ways, these people, I think we make them out. Yes, did she do wrong? Did she do a lot of bad things? Absolutely. But this is such a contained thing. Like, it's amazing to me that in some ways it's like it all happened really quickly, but at the same time, it is very shocking that not one person put this together sooner. Do you know, before 2015? that she had been making these claims in 2013 and
she's still
at it. That's the part about it that's so odd, is like how quickly it all came down, and also how long it took for it to come down. And the fact that, and they make this point at the end, and the fact that, both Apple and Penguin Books got into business with her with no due diligence at all.
Yeah. I mean, she came out of nowhere basically saying that she had stage 4 brain tumors and she had 4 months to live.
Yes.
So, okay. But yeah, and then she starts this blog, and then there's an app, and she's basically telling people that she's still alive. I guess her cancer is cured. She's, the details of her illness are very scant, but the implication is that, that I'm alive and looking good. And because she's like this fresh-faced, young, healthy woman, and she's, not suffering from cancer any longer because she's eating, cashew cheese or cashew, whatever it is. And people are believing it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I'm a skeptical person. I would look at that and be like, you're kidding me. No, I mean, I don't know. A lot of people just believe anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sadly one of those people that really not skeptical.
You would be on that app.
I would be, if I was into this stuff, I'd probably be on that app. Now, I want to say something. Why do you pick malignant brain tumors? Like, pick a different kind of cancer. The one that maybe...
One that's more curable.
You pick something. But the other part of it too is this. I can see how certain cancers would really respond to, or it would improve your health to do certain things. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Like, eating this way will help with inflammation and, pain and other things. Absolutely. But tumors in your brain.
Yeah. Well, that
beetroot salad is not going to do that for you.
Yeah. The doctor comes on later and basically says that nobody survives that.
Yeah.
Nobody survives a malignant brain tumor. You eventually will die. It's just a matter of time.
Yes.
And that also cancer does not spread from the brain to other organs. It's just how brain cancer
certain
works.
Organs that she claimed where it spread.
Yeah.
So all of this started, I guess, she kind of blew up around 2012, 2013. But in 2014, a journalist from The Australian, which is their big paper there, Richard Goulet, his wife, he's a reporter, and his wife had been diagnosed with cancer. And he was like, he kind of tripped upon this and saw this and was like, this is interesting. This is a woman who says she cured cancer with just eating differently. And I guess he starts off by kind of like doing some research. Again, things that Penguin and Apple could have done. He just did some research. And when he started speaking to experts and neuroscientists and doctors and such and asked them, is this possible? They absolutely positively said no. And he could not find any records of her or of getting any treatment. And so this was happening at the same time. There's another paper called The Age, and they also, it sounds like simultaneously, were also following this case and wondering, like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And they talked to some people who, became devotees of hers. There's this other woman, Bella Johnston, who she had cancer since she was a teenager and went through very, intense treatments and was sick for a long time. And so she was looking online just for some support, and she runs across this blog, and she's like, well, something must be working for her because look how good she looks. And she said something about how she always, I don't know who planted this idea in her mind, but she's like, it was the medicine that was making me look so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And implying that if you stop taking the medicine and you just eat really well, then you'll look all healthy and glowy like Belle. I don't know. I couldn't exactly understand her story, but the point of all this is like people are people with cancer are seeing this
Mm-hmm.
and maybe stopping their treatments
Yes.
because of it and saying, oh, well, this isn't working for me. Maybe I'll just stop my chemo and I'll just start eating cashew cheese.
Because, well, and I think that she was a good example, Bella Johnson, because she was, I guess she was diagnosed cancer when she was young, had to go through a bunch of stuff. And she said that I didn't have anyone to talk to. Nobody was young like me when I was getting treatment. I couldn't relate to anybody. And here's someone who looks like her, who's like a couple years older. And I can see how Bella just bought it hook, line, and sinker. And then she talks about wanting, like begging her parents, like, I want to get off these meds. I want to do this. Because if you're a teenager and how you look and being normal and fitting in is like your whole identity, and you're having to lose your hair and all this awful stuff and feeling terrible. And yeah, of course, I'm with her. I too, if I was 19 or 8, whatever age, been like, there's an alternative way of doing this. I got to go do this. And I think that was right. The people that were just looking for hope. And we see these scams a lot. We do. Where people find a very vulnerable audience, where people are willing to do or pay whatever they can to help themselves or their loved ones. And that's basically what she did.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very vulnerable community. And, especially when you're talking about children with cancer, young people with cancer, and she's, not only is she making money off of this, app that is called the Whole Pantry. Yeah, the accents, for the longest time I thought they were saying Hall Pantry. No, the Whole Pantry. That's got this beautiful app, and then I guess they kept showing people making comments. Is that on the app or
on Instagram?
On Instagram, yeah. So she at the same time she's also doing quote unquote fundraising.
Yes.
Where she's saying that, she would pick a story like about, some child with cancer and, all the proceeds from the app for this week are going to go to this kid who has cancer. Of course, and it never did.
Yeah.
And she was always, having fundraisers and, charity events, whatever, raising money that she just kept.
Yeah. And that's another one and what I hate about this is, these kinds of things make me feel skeptical when I see now people that are doing fundraisers, or they're like, all the proceeds, 10% or 30% of the proceeds are going to go to here, here, and here. You're like, and we all know, we've all been there where you're like, oh, but the proceeds are going somewhere, so I'm going to go do it. Like something you maybe wouldn't buy normally or wouldn't purchase, that you're going to do it because you think the money's going somewhere good. You're really ruining it for everybody else, Belle, because how do you trust any of those things? How do you? Especially if it's some charity, the Human Fund, some charity you've never heard of, or
Well, and what I hate now, this has become so pervasive, is that, like you're at the grocery store and you're checking out and they're like, do you want to give $1 to cancer research or the fire relief or this or this or that? And it's like, again, you have no idea where it's going. And also, number two, I don't do that because guess what? Safeway or wherever you're shopping that takes those donations, they get a tax deduction for that.
Ugh,
because
that's effed up.
Yeah, I believe so. I heard this at some point because they take these charitable donations and pass them off as if they're donating.
Yes.
And to these charities, and then they take a tax deduction for it. No, thank you. No, that's what I never.
Not today, Safeway.
Do that.
Not today.
No.
But yeah, there's a million of these kinds of things. I mean, constantly, and there's always people asking. I mean, people are constantly asking for money and charities. People, especially if you grow up in Berkeley, someone was coming and knocking on our door every night with some
save the environment,
save this, save that,
save the whales.
Yeah. Anywho, our mother would always give them money, though.
Well, she every day in her mail, she gets 5 to 10 envelopes from the conservation society, this museum, that, and they send like those little address return label stickers.
Yes.
And
She has a lot of those.
yeah, just because she gives money, and then they sell their mailing list to other people, and then they're just being solicited constantly, nonstop.
Yes. Hence, like what the Democratic Party does too.
Yeah, with
Drives
their,
me
I'm
crazy.
tired of their texts. I thought
I am so sick of these texts.
the election's over. Okay, it's like, don't bother me anymore. Go fucking do something. Go.
You
stop
blew it.
Trump.
You blew it. It's a little bit like the losers of the Super Bowl texting me constantly saying, okay, well, pay for us to train now. Pay for us to train. It's like, you lost. Why don't you figure out why you lost?
Yeah.
But the other part, this is what really pisses me off about these text messages. Trump did it again. Elon did it again. Like that fear mongering stuff. I'm like, I don't like that. That is not nice. Do not do that to me as I'm trying to live my life. Like I know, I see what you're doing. And I'm not, and I find myself slightly falling for it. And then I'm like, no.
Well, yeah, here's my message to Democrats that did get elected. Go do your fucking job.
Yes.
Okay? Go stop these people. Go out there and do your job. Don't ask me for money. Go get arrested. Go be like John Lewis or whatever, go fucking do something. Thank you.
Well,
anyway,
sorry. That's another rant. Oh God. We're like reality gays. We've got Katie.
We've got
something. Like, we cannot keep on topic.
Span problems today.
Uh-oh. All right. So she just brought so many things. So at the same time that these two newspapers are starting to go, this can't cure cancer. A friend of hers, is it Chanel? Chanel? She was a former friend, and she, had met Belle casually, and some things weren't adding up with her. She was like, it was very odd. I mean, here's someone who's going through cancer, but she's going out partying and drinking alcohol and, in ways in which someone with
tanning, going to the tanning bed
and doing a lot of things that cancer patients cannot do. And, so then apparently Belle has a very young child. We never hear about the child. We don't know how old the child is. The child's having a birthday party. Was the kid like 7? I just didn't remember the kid's name. I don't remember them ever saying her age. But anyway,
they said very little about this child.
Which again, don't blame them. But basically this was her in 2014 at her son's birthday party. Belle has a seizure. And right in the middle of this party for your kids, hello, telling you something about that parent. But then when people are like, well, let's call an ambulance, let's call the doctor, she didn't want to go. And I think there was something about that where her friend was just like, nope, I don't, there's something off about this. And so she started to try to, get people to pay attention to what's going on. And so you've got these various people sort of watching her. So Belle says, I'm going to double down. I'm going to go back on in 2015 and tell everyone that I now have a 3rd and 4th cancer, that it's spread all throughout my entire body. And it was just too much. So Chanel and her friend and another friend of Belle's confronted her and said, hey, things are not adding up. Something's off about this. And they asked her, like, who's your doctor? What's your doctor's name? Dr. Phil?
She has no paperwork.
She has zero paperwork.
No records from
she threw it all away. Facility. She threw it all away because it was too upsetting to her. This doctor that gave her this diagnosis went underground, whatever that means, and has disappeared. And but they confront her the day before her book launch. So
she got this huge advance, $132,000 advance,
which is huge.
Penguin
for an unproven author.
Yeah.
So she has the book launch and then just kind of like bebops through.
Now she's global. She's gone global. Now, people in the US know who she is. People in Europe know who she is.
Yeah. And that's when she
just blows up.
She travels to Silicon Valley, to the Apple headquarters, because like you said, she was going to be one of these preloaded icons on the Apple Watch, which again, now Brooke, as an attorney, you're one of Apple's attorneys. I would assume that when they are closing deals with people, they must be involved. Like, they don't have to do any kind of due diligence or to corroborate.
Apparently they didn't. I mean, but you have to realize, like, she, at this point, there's nothing out there about her being a fraud. Mm-hmm. All that's out there is that, she's got this very successful app that, and so many followers. And that's kind of all they care about is like how many, they just care about the numbers and how many people she's going to reach. And there's no negative information out there about her yet. Although they should have been skeptical that, okay, here's a woman who, how many years ago now, was diagnosed with a brain tumor, which is pretty much usually always fatal.
Yeah.
and she's still alive from just eating, all this pretty food. That's what you're supposed to, that is a red flag.
Yes. And even if all of this was true, why isn't she being studied? Like, why isn't she a medical miracle? Do you know what I mean? I just feel like if this all was true, then everybody would know about this. This would be such a miracle. So that's why it's just, that's why I think that both parties knew that there was something off about this, that I think Apple and Penguin, that's just my 2 cents. I think that they knew there was something off about this, but I think they just wanted they were going to capitalize on whatever they could capitalize on, knowing that it'll be her taking the fall. We're fine. And that's exactly what happened. Like, I think they knew, like, oh, okay, people aren't going to like it, but you're not going to stop buying our product. So what do we care?
Yeah, they can always just pull the app and make it disappear somehow.
So this Apple stuff happens. And then in February 2015, Richard Gulati, sorry, I keep mispronouncing your name, from Richard from the Australian. He has an interview with Belle, and he interviews her, and he basically his whole idea was, I'm not going to challenge her. I'm just going to get her on the record saying that she has, malignant brain tumor, that foods are curing her. He wanted her to say all of these things so he could disprove them. And then he's writing it, the article, and then this other article from The Age comes out, and they broke the story about not so much that part of her scam, but about how Belle wasn't giving the money to the charities for these fundraisers. And it was a Chanel who was one of the people that came in and said, she was one of the people that I guess the Age talked to about this particular situation. But when that Age article came out, what happened was that apparently Belle kind of addressed it. She said, oh, there was some kind of mistake. I'm so sorry. I'm going to start paying these people back. And apparently her community, the people that really did still believe in her, were pissed. They believed her.
Yeah. And the Chanel, the people were threatening her with, slander, defamation, saying, you can't just go around saying this stuff about her. You don't have any proof of it. And so she ended up kind of backing down.
Yeah.
This was right around the time, when Richard first, meets with her. And like he said, he couldn't find anything about her past.
Yeah. No social media history before 2013.
So, yeah. And then but then when she meets with him, and they start talking about the doctor who diagnosed her, then she uses this is interesting. She sort of uses this opportunity as a way out and says she thinks that maybe she was misdiagnosed and she doesn't really have cancer.
Psych Legal Pop will be back after these messages.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
I don't know why she did that, but
Well, I think she knew that the jig was up and that she had to have a reason, but she couldn't possibly say, I flat out lied about this. So make the doctor the liar.
Mm-hmm.
So now the story became that she was diagnosed by this doctor who gave her this diagnosis and
a misdiagnosis.
A misdiagnosis, and that it's possible that she maybe has never had cancer.
Yeah, and then she goes silent and she deletes all of her posts on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess, sort of tries to go away.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Well, no, she tried to go away. That was her position, was just, I'm just not going to answer anything. But as they start to uncover things, it turns out that Belle has had other identities, that they start to find that prior to 2013, that Belle had been posting in skate forums. So, and that we see Belle then, that she had this really dark hair and she was like this trash talking chick. Goth. And she's, in the skate community. And I think back then in that time, there weren't really, it was, there weren't these platforms like we have today. So mainly, people would talk to each other in these skate forums. I just want to say, I have never been part of an online forum where I went on there and shared a bunch of stuff about my life. I've never been part of an online forum ever.
I've been in like private groups. But not like just, no.
But a hobby. I've never had a hobby. But I then wanted to get online and talk to other people about what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? No. I don't know if there's something wrong with me, but it just, I don't get it. But anywho.
But she was back then posting about her, what they started calling her medical drama. And she was saying that she had open heart surgeries. That
she died.
She died and was brought back to life. She had stage 2 malignant brain tumor. We're bringing that back out again.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been doing this since she was like 17. And she was taking stories of other people, like real things that happened to real people, and then making them her own.
Mm-hmm.
So she's been doing this.
Yeah.
Like her whole life.
Yes. And again, people are posting, oh my gosh, Belle, are you okay? Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry. Oh, we have to rally behind you. Like, she's getting all this sympathy. So the Australian publishes their story. So now there's these two stories, The Age and Australian, both out. So Claire, who's the journalist for The Age, she actually gets an interview with Belle to talk about, what's going on. And this was going to be in, so the publisher of Women's Weekly, which is like the biggest paper in Australia, like circulation magazine, whatever it is. Mm-hmm.
They wanted to get the first interview, since she was exposed.
Mm-hmm.
And so, they do team up with Claire Weaver. They gave the interview to her because she had already talked to her.
She had written The Age
breaking
article.
The first, the first story. So, they tried to. Claire did interview her.
Yes,
but it was like real weird because Belle didn't really reveal anything, and nothing she was saying was making sense, and she was.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to tell her story of her past and her childhood. She said that her mom had MS and that she had to take care of her mom and herself and her brother who was autistic. And she again admitted in that interview that she didn't have cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, where are you going to go with this? So again, it's kind of interesting. She's sort of now trying to shift the sympathy and attention that she was getting for having cancer. Now she's trying to shift it somewhere. She can't go down that road anymore. She's trying to shift it somewhere else.
Yeah.
So she's trying to shift it towards this, troubled childhood that she had.
And a mentally, someone who's mentally healthy and has remorse and all that wouldn't have done this to begin with. But, when you're caught in a lie like this, right? What do you do? And again, she is now she cannot admit that she's admitting that she's lying about the cancer, but she also has to still make you feel sorry for her. So let me tell you why I did that. I did that because I had this horrible childhood. And so please don't blame me. Please don't blame me. Please don't blame me.
But then when this comes out, her mom calls up.
Yeah, the apple does not fall far. I'm sorry. That mom, sorry.
Yeah, she's pissed. But it turns out that her mom, there is somewhat of a truth to this. She did have a terrible childhood. We don't really know all the details, but what we know is that her mom basically said she tried the best she could with her, but she just couldn't handle her. She was impossible to handle. And at some point she just let Belle go live with some guy down the street when she was like 12 or 13. She went to go live with some man, a grown man who lived on their street or something.
Yeah, which is very odd. Well, her mom did have MS.
Yeah.
And it sounds, my guess is it sounds like Natalie, her mother, Natalie calls up screaming to someone at this paper about it. That alone can tell you, this is how you're handling it. You're going to find the reporter or the journalist and just start yelling at them. This is your way of doing it. But it was revealed that the mom did have MS, but that according to the stepfather, because the mom is gone, her stepfather, Andrew, that the mom did try to give her everything, that she did try to provide for her and was a good mother. This is what Andrew's saying, that her brother is not autistic. And we meet the brother, and the brother is really hurt and upset that that's what she would say about him. And that, and the other thing too was that I guess Natalie, the mom, had a lot of abusive boyfriends, physically, emotionally abusive. And so they
moved around a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think they had a lot of money because Belle talks about how, I don't think her mom really had the money to buy her whatever the stuff teen girls want. And it sounds like it was not a good situation.
No.
And somehow the brother was able to come out of it a lot better. But I think there's definitely something that got triggered in her brain at a young age that made her this way.
Yeah. I think seeing her mom having MS and seeing sort of how her mom, and maybe her mom was a little manipulative. Maybe her mom would use her MS as a way to get attention and as a way of being seen. But she really did have MS. So there were things that actually were hard. And listen, we never meet her. We don't know who her biological father is. So yeah, I can imagine Belle's life was hard. She had this younger brother. I think she probably was in charge of taking care of him a lot. I think all of those things did happen, but somewhere along the way, something got skewed, and it was almost like, having these kinds of diseases gets you attention and want and love. And so this is what I need to do to get love, is to be sick. And obviously she felt like wronged in some way, right? Like, why I didn't deserve this. I don't deserve this. And we see a little bit of this with other things that we've covered. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the Anna Nicole Smith story, a little bit about how Anna would tell people these crazy stories about her childhood, and none of them were really, they were kind of based on half truths. And it's a little bit of I think, again, Anna Nicole, like her mom didn't provide the life that she really wanted. And I think that some people take that and they go, I need to be grateful for what I have. Other people take that in and that's what spurs them to be successful. And then other people take that as the world owes me. Like I am owed something.
Yeah.
And I think she was one of these I am owed something people.
Yeah. So
yeah.
She's clearly troubled.
Yes.
So then 60 Minutes in Australia pays her $75,000 to interview her. And I was just thinking, why did you do this, Belle? I mean, what did you think was going to happen? It was just a disaster. That woman just ripped her a new one. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, I think this is the delusion and boldness of personalities like this, like the lack of awareness and understanding. But also, I think she needed, I think 75, I don't think she would have done it if she hadn't gotten paid. I think she wanted that. And people, of course, were pissed that she was getting paid because she stole all this money. But
well, they wanted to hear her story. I mean, she really got humiliated, just completely humiliated by this interview. And, she was very nervous and she came off horribly. I mean, and not even sympathetic, not even nothing, just came off terribly. But yeah, then they bring on this psychologist.
I loved her. She was my favorite person. She's a good time.
Well, yeah, she explained that, pathological lies become their reality. They create a life that they didn't have in order to be cared for, loved, to boost their ego. And that sometimes there's usually an element of truth in the lie, like we were just talking about with her background and whatever. But, when you hear that, that makes me feel sad. Like that basic human need to feel loved and cared for, that people who don't get that, they'll just go to such lengths to get it.
Or didn't get it. I want to point this out too, which is, and didn't get it in the way in which they thought they should have it. Because you and I are both parents, and we all know, like, being a parent's not easy. And, just because you have a kid doesn't mean that you're an expert in parenting or humans or psychology or communication or anything. So you really are someone ill prepared for the most important job that you will ever have in your entire life, with just raising another human being. And I think that there are some parents who do not nurture their children in the way in which their children needed. And so I just want to say, I don't know what happened with Natalie. I am not excusing what she did or her behavior. I'm just saying that I think Natalie also was a flawed person with MS who was struggling, and that it is possible that Natalie did love, and cared for her. It is also possible that care wasn't what she wanted, because the brother, you look at the brother, it seemed like that care was enough for him, or enough to give him what he needed to get to the next part of his life. So I think that's the other part of it too, is like, it's how you as the person interpret it and how you take it in. And is this enough? And, listen, I love our father, but he's not the most effusive person. Is that the kind of care I needed? Probably not. But I know who he is as a human being, and I love him, and I'm able to see him for what he is. That's what I'm talking about. It's being able to reconcile with some of these things and be able to go, I see you, and you did the best that you could, and I'm appreciative of that. But a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah, that's a very mature and very nuanced, way of thinking that most people don't have.
Yes.
Most people are very black and white. And, there's differences even within families. You talk about her brother, like, daughters and sons need different things. So maybe whatever the son got was enough, but it wasn't enough for Natalie. And, the mother-daughter, mother-son, all these relationships, they're different, and they need different dynamics. And within one family, you can have, a couple kids who felt like their needs were totally met. And then you have one who's just like, no, and you're raised by the same people.
Yeah.
So it's just sometimes, and sometimes personalities between people, they just don't click.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure. For sure. Now, Natalie letting her, the stepfather, I love this. She was 13 or 15. 13.
Well, I thought he said from 13 to 15, and then he said till 12. Then it got younger. Then he said,
because I thought, does he not know? Like, I thought he was just saying names, 13, 15, I don't know, sometime. But
I think
I guess it was those years.
12, from age 12 or 13 until 15, she lived with this guy, this man. And then I don't know what happened after 15. I don't know if she came back or she just went out on her own.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's no excuse for that. I'm sorry. MS, no MS. That's insane. Like no one, you don't let your kid do that. And so I'm sure she probably felt like her mom wasn't protecting her or caring for her in that way, because she didn't in that moment, she wasn't.
No, if she felt if she felt the need to go live with some strange man over staying at home with her mother, then my God,
something was happening.
Something's really, really wrong.
I'm not excusing. I'm not giving Natalie excuses. I'm just saying that it's nuanced. There's a lot of levels to it.
Yeah.
All right. So this is now after the 60 Minutes interview. It's kind of, it's over. Everything kind of comes crashing down. And then she starts getting sued for, by these charities where she promised to donate money to them and never did. And then actually the Consumer Affairs Protection Unit came after her, and she was fined $410,000. Of course, she's never paid it. And refused to pay.
Yeah, for defrauding people. And then, while this is all happening, she's seen traveling around the world, going here and going there. And then the weirdest thing happens. She's kind of disappears, and then she shows up in some video in Ethiopian dress, doing some sort of fundraising, I guess, in Ethiopia for some organization. And she's calling herself Sabantu. She's got some new name, and it almost looks like she's like part of some, she's fallen into some religious cult or something. Yeah. But I think it was mostly talking about quote unquote fundraising. I think it's another scam.
Yeah. She was pretending to be Ethiopian or something. I mean, it was so weird. But these people, because she had already been caught, it didn't take long. They figured out very quickly that she was a scammer. And so she got rejected by that community. And, and I think that most likely, right, I don't know where she is today, but I think Belle is probably cozied up to some new community of people, maybe not so visible, maybe a community of people that don't go on social media. I don't know, but I think this is what she's going to continue to do for the rest of her life.
This is all she really knows how to do. And where's her son? Like, what, God.
Yeah. I mean,
what's happened to him?
Yeah. Cause we don't hear much about him. We don't hear about his father. You don't hear about anything, but this is what I thought was really fascinating. At the very end, they were talking about, do you think if Belle hadn't lied, could she have been
successful without it?
Yeah. Could she have been successful without it? Because we meet very early on in the documentary. We never see this guy again. His name is Dutch Singh. Dutch Singh, he's an influencer marketing CEO. And he talks about how impressive what she did. Yeah. That she really, I mean, if she had just said, hey, I'm into alternative medicine, here are pictures and stuff. He said she did a really good job of monetizing, marketing, putting things together. I mean, those were really beautiful pictures of the pantry. I mean, like, she obviously knew how to get to where she was to quote unquote fool Apple, to fool Penguin, to get so many people focused on her. That is that's the irony of all of this is that she could have actually been really successful if she had actually like found a real product, marketed a real product. The problem is that saying you have cancer and making this crazy claim is going to get you a lot more attention.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Maybe, maybe not, because there's kind of a million apps and blogs out there about this kind of stuff. And so, yeah, the cancer thing was how she got such high numbers because, because there's a whole community out there of people with cancer, and people with cancer a lot of times are kind of desperate, and they're looking for something to help them, and so I don't know. I think she would have been a lot harder. I don't think she would have been as successful, but
so quickly, because at that time, I mean, there were far less of those kinds of blogs in 2013, 2014 when she was doing it. Like today, she could have an empire. I really do believe that if she had kept going, because this is what this guy was saying, this Detch Singh was saying, that she was figuring out how to monetize and make all of this work for her in a way that most people couldn't figure out how to do. And that's the thing is that, it's the, I think again, Belle somewhere along the way, either decided or doesn't think that she has to work hard to build something. I think there's also something else with these kinds of personalities where this belief, this entitlement, this entitled belief that I should, I get to skip 15 steps because her pictures were beautiful. Apparently she's a very good cook. She enjoys cooking. Like she could have actually done something with this and done it, but no, that would have required hard work.
But you're missing
years of dedication.
Yeah, but what you're missing is that was only part of it. She was getting something out of being a quote unquote cancer survivor or cancer patient or whatever. I think that was more motivating than anything. She just happened to be successful at combining that. She's combining a personality disorder with, some good, vegan recipes, whatever. I mean,
and good good SEO influencer.
Exactly. And so because underlying this all, she's sick. She's like, and they don't call it, I guess they're not calling it Munchausen syndrome anymore. They now call it factitious disorder.
Oh, factitious disorder. Yeah. That's the new one in the DSM.
Yeah. And it's a personality disorder, and that's what's driving her, and she wants to be seen as sick by other people. And she doesn't even know why. She doesn't know why. It's like this compulsion of, it is the attention, and, people do it this has kind of become a thing, where all these documentaries are coming out like Scamanda, and they're doing another thing on the Dee Dee Blanchard.
God.
I think it's going to be on Hulu. It's coming out soon. So, this is, this is a new thing. It's not new, but there's this new crop of shows about all this because it's very, very common, and people do it to not just for the care and the attention, but for money. I think half of the people who do this are just plain fraudsters, scam artists, who, if they weren't doing this, they'd be doing something else. This just happens to be what they're doing. Some people do it to get time off from work. If they just want a break, if you go and say, I have cancer, like everyone's going to go, oh, okay, well, come back when you can,
Yeah. Well, you can't really apply for disability, but yeah.
No, but if you want to just kind of, just
you wanted your job to be there,
get out of something. So yeah, it's like an addiction, and it's a compulsion, and it's not easy for people to just stop. Yeah. Yeah. And the woman, Amanda Riley, who Scamanda is based on, that's on Hulu right now. And there was a podcast about it, true story, about this woman who faked having cancer, and she's doing 5 years in prison, and the people in the prison are now saying she's doing the same thing in there. She's constantly saying she's having she thinks she's having a heart attack. She thinks this, she's always going to the hospital. And I think her lawyers are even trying to use it as a way for her to get out early. And they're saying, no, this is a continuation of what she was doing.
Yeah.
She's still doing it.
Yeah. And the final sort of words of the entire 2-part documentary were from the journalist Richard. And what he was saying was, which I agree, which is, people want to see her pay, but, putting her in prison is not the solution. That's not going to fix her. That, she needs psychological help. She needs true help. And this is the other thing too, is these are now that they're seen as personality disorders, it doesn't mean that you cannot cure yourself of a personality disorder, but they are incredibly hard. And part of having a personality disorder is the fact that you don't think you have a personality disorder. Like people who are anxious will tell you, I'm really anxious. And they will own that and say that. They might mask it in different ways. They might not pretend. They might, right? But people with personality disorders, depending on the disorder, they are, it's your personality, and it's something that is ingrained in you. Like, so there's always some root from their person's childhood that you can sort of start to see the patterns of what happens. And it's very hard for people to turn it around. It really is, because their personality is so rooted in this identity, they cannot let it go. And so for these kinds of people, it's even if we forced Belle Gibson or Scamanda into treatment, they would then have to be willing to be honest and truthful about who they are and what they want. And that's the whole thing. They're not willing to, because they don't think there's anything.
Right.
It's like part of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't. How can you work on a problem you don't think you have?
Yes. That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah. Where do you go from there?
And if you are someone who commonly lies, then, how do you then even believe that? How do you then believe that is, if there's the therapist has no way of knowing if what they're telling them is truthful, or if there's any progress. Like, that's the other part of it too, is there's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So
that it can't really be cured.
Yeah. And I don't know. Maybe science will come up with something that will help. I don't know. I really don't. But no, there is not, as of right now, there is not a cure. I mean, the only hope you can have is someone having I guess maybe losing everything. But again, even then they're not going to get it. I don't know. I keep trying to think of, is there a case where you could? But even then it's a little bit like, because
they don't think anything's wrong with them.
Yeah.
They think it's everybody else.
Yeah.
Everyone else is causing
their problems.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
Well,
boy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. A lot of these stories and cases now out there.
So I don't know how it works in Australia, but how does it work in terms of, because it sounds like she was traveling private. She was, but we didn't really see a segment of her buying a bunch of things. That's usually what we see in these stories. So I wonder in Australia, if she refuses to pay that $410,000 judgment, can they garnish, like, she's not really working, so how would they garnish her wages? But wouldn't they be able to take away anything that she had purchased with that money? Like if she owned a home or
I guess. I mean, it's a fine. I don't know how it works there. If it's the same as like a court judgment. I don't know, but I don't think she really has anything. I think since she was renting that house, probably she was at that nice house by the beach. I'm sure she was like, I don't think she bought that house.
Yeah.
I think she was like traveling, living it up,
partying,
doing whatever. So I mean, she's broke. I don't think she has anything. I don't know if they can put her in jail for the not paying the fine. I don't know. And we don't know where she is now, right? I don't know. Is she in Australia, or does anyone know?
No, we have no idea. She's hit some new country. She's in Greenland.
She's scamming someone in Greenland. Everyone beware. Well, now everyone knows what she looks like now.
Yeah, she's going to have to change her looks.
Beware.
Yes, she's coming for you. All right. Well, Netflix is just churning these documentaries out. I'm telling you, I was looking at the list and it was just like Gabby Pepito and everything. It's like, what did we do before these documentaries?
I don't know. And Hulu too. They're really cranking out a lot of, they're just taking all whatever is happening in the real world of, true crime or, scams now seems to be a big thing.
Yeah.
Just churning out these documentaries. Oh, did you see the Karen Reed? That Karen Reed documentary.
Yeah, that's the one that Oliver has been on our show, worked on
IDTV or something. I don't know. That's coming out soon.
Ooh, we got to cover that for sure.
That case is really heating up. I'm going to talk about that in our Patreon episode.
Okay, well, that actually is a good segue. So if you're still here and you like us, we have a Patreon. So go check out our Patreon. We do bonuses and we do a true crime and Ask Us Anything. If you have not given us a review, we would really appreciate it. Those do help us and it helps people find us and find the show. Please subscribe to all the episodes. We're also covering Love is Blind. This week we'll be talking about the weddings. And ooh boy. That's all I'm going to say about that show. And I think that's it.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Say hello to Mia.
Hey there.
Mia runs a pet grooming service in Chicago, but getting new clients was rough.
Until I started using Acast. I recorded my ad, targeted pet owners in the area, and let Acast do the rest. Now people all over the city know about my grooming services.
Mia's business is looking sharp. What's your secret for happy pets and happy clients?
A fresh cut, a friendly vibe, and a well-placed podcast ad.
Get the word out about your business through Acast. Visit go.acast.com/advertise to get started.